The greatest fight, at least in my opinion, in Jujutsukaisen is here. It's finally animated. The Yuji vs Mahito finale in What's Left of Shibuya is one of my personal favorite and best things to take place in the last couple years, to be honest, especially when it comes to the final fight leading to the conclusion of Shibuya. Nanami's death being the first start of the final battle between Yuji versus Mahito is perfect. All three of these characters have history with one another. Yuji and Mahito hate each other the moment that they first met with the situation with Junpei. And Nanami in that same arc was the first one on the sorcerer's side to realize how dangerous the potential of Mahito is. And this death is pretty symbolic as it's the grim passing of the torch to finish the job for Nanami. And Nobara, who is very similar to Yuji in character in terms of like how joyous and naturally upbeat he is, was the one pointing to Yuji for Nanami to look at. And Nanami just kept it simple, as he just wanted to say, "You got it from here." One of my interpretations of this moment is that what if Nobara would say something similar in his death to Nanami that stayed with Nanami like a curse? Something interesting to kind of contemplate, as Nanami didn't want to curse Yuji with words, kind of similar to his granddad, and just wanted to keep it kind of vague and simple. And Mahito just pops him like a balloon with the end of his spinal cord hanging out. This was much more gruesome in the manga, at least to me. Full Nanami character video in the top right, by the way, check that out. And shout out to the voice actors of Yuji and Mahito respectively, with Junya Inoki as Yuji and Nobunaga Shimazaki as Mahito, because the voice acting, man, the rage, the pain that you feel from Yuji, it gave me chills, and Mahito's intense but playfulness was at its peak. Matter of fact, like just listen to this. In the first round, I'm not gonna lie, I go back and forth with like the manga and anime on which I like more, but regardless, it's all heat. The body repel scene looks sick in the manga, and in the anime they went a little bit of a different route. The transfigured wall and then launching body repel show more of a battle IQ thing for Mahito. I think in both mediums this fight is very creative, especially from Mahito's end, and it was during body repel that Mahito rocked Yuji with that punch, but also because of the inch of his fist, he gave Yuji this badass scar that kind of stays with him. One of my gripes in the anime low-key though is the animation kind of skipping over some of the explanations through the narrator. I just think for the anime only it will add more to the experience, but it's neither here nor there. But they are just throwing hands and going at it. Any Yuji fight to me is just must see. He's a walking 5-star match. If you know anything about pro wrestling, you know what that means. If it's one thing Mahito did exponentially through this entire finale though, it's just trolling. I swear to you, the shit that Mahito said or did to Yuji would have pissed me off. He's lucky Curse Energy is emotion based, because I know Yuji wanted to rage out so bad, especially when Mahito grew a Junpei face and stabbed it in the head and laughed at Yuji as he did it. Nah. Yuji and Mahito getting in fighting stances. In the manga they get in like a martial arts stance, but in the anime they did this transfigured wall closing in on them. It was completely different, but the execution was still the same to me. He hit Mahito with that title kick and got in his bag. Now maybe I'm digging too deep, but the anime had Yuji and Mahito break through the transfigured humans and had them walking through it looking cold as hell with the blood splatter and everything. Kind of reminded me of a similar moment in the manga with the Shinjuku showdown. The innovativeness was immaculate in both the anime and the manga, especially with the elevator section of the fight and how they fought through this portion of the subway. You know, Nobara really has some trash luck in Shibuya. First, she Gemo's punk ass ability, and then a Mahito clone. A weakened Mahito clone, mind you. So it's been a rough day for her, only it's gonna get much worse from here. Her fight with this Mahito was pretty solid. We really got to see how she uses the straw doll in a 1v1 setting where she has more objects to use and she's fighting someone that's much stronger than her. But the reveal of her straw doll resonance being able to also target a person's soul was a good amp for Nobara. And shout out to the dropkick through the door move, always gotta show love to pro wrestling. I don't know if it was Okada level, but close enough. And this fight further cemented to me that Mahito is a generational fighter, because every fight he's in, it's entertaining, no matter who his opponent is. The trash talk, telling Nobara her nails ain't shit, and the belittling of Nobara added more fire to the gas that is the hatred building towards Mahito. But the way she set up Mahito from the start, having the nails as a semi-diversion, then hair painting the nails into his body, and then the patented vice grip and stuck him with that resonance. Yuji and Mahito are still beating the hell out of each other. This man really had a human shish kebab as a weapon. If Mahito did have more humans, this would have looked probably even more insane. but that resonance damage went to the original as well. And man, seeing Yuji smile knowing Nobara got his back was nice to see, because I mean, he hasn't smiled in a minute, and lays Mahito out into the wall. Yuji needs to make a guest appearance in Hajime no Ippo. I mean, the way he be throwing these haymakers, man, Gege might need to talk to Morikawa real quick. On the other hand, Mahito said, yeah, it's time for me to go and pull this best Joseph Joestar. Run for your life! He ran to the OG Mahito while the other one bought time and split his soul up. Once the two Mahitos linked up, it was a wrap. We all know the drill. Mahito closed in on an off-guard Nobara and slapped her with idle transfiguration. And Yuji destroys the weak clone at least. Once I saw the flashback start up, I knew it was over. My soul took a hit because I was thinking there's no way she's dying. And my only reason for it was because she's part of the main group. A lot of anime and manga don't really do that until like the very end. We got the backstory that was shown in the anime early in season 1, episode 3. And I wouldn't be shocked if they added more on this flashback in the anime. But this flashback explains Nobara's character as a whole in the traditional sense. As an origin of obedience, we get it from a perspective and a natural way of dialogue. She wanted to meet people she could call friends, but also keep her circle tight, as she can't afford to care for everyone she meets and love them as much as the people she cares for in her life. As Sayori being one of the major motivations for Nobara, and how she wants to meet her again at some point down the line. But realizing she couldn't keep that promise was disheartening, but she enjoyed the small time she had as a sorcerer of Jujutsu High, meeting the people who she could relate to or even admire in some way. Arguably the most shocking moment in the entire series and still one of the most controversial. The more I read this fight and understand what the point of Nobara's character was, I'm perfectly fine with this being her conclusion, as if she were to have made it to the Culling Games, I mean, she would have just been a lamb to the slaughter and would be a struggle to write for Gege, as her weaknesses are just too overwhelming in that arc. My boy Yuji's second breakdown in this arc, I always felt this one hit just a little harder for me because the Sukuna was more so him trying to redeem himself and wanting to fix the problems Sukuna created through his own losses. While this one, he just felt defeated. He just couldn't fight anymore. He was just out of it. Two people close to him dying in front of him by the curse he hates the most, and he still can't save anyone, it feels like. The one thing other than the Sukuna Yuji was cursed with was wanting to help people and giving them proper deaths. Mahito delivered a masterclass speech, I might add, while kicking Yuji around, stating he and Yuji are alike because they kill on instinct, be it sorcerer or curse. This is a war not to fix what's wrong, but a class of truce. And to top it off, he hit Yuji with a black flash punch because the sparks of black don't choose who to bless. Just as Mahito was done talking about the killings that they've done, we hear a clap. The greatest entrance in JJK history. Aoi Todo pulling up to save his brother Yuji and uplifts his spirits. Also, there's this guy Nita who's only here to give us like a small bit of faith that Nobara can still be alive. And Todo himself delivered a masterclass speech to uplift Yuji during this final fight, letting Yuji know that as sorcerers we know what we're signing up for, and looking for logical reasons for our deaths isn't necessary. The allies we've made are all a part of this fight, whether in life or death, and that he needs to keep moving and keep fighting with what he's been entrusted with.
Right now, that was no bar. That was no bar. Nigga, listen.
And when I tell you Todo literally just changed the game for this battle, I mean the energy shifted. We went from depressed and enraged to a feeling of hope and hype. The way Todo was mixing Mahito with Boogie Woogie, swapping places was beautiful. Because big bro Todo, he's not Yuji. He can't afford to get touched once by Mahito. Mahito fell in love with the feeling of Black Flash. He's pretty much getting a high off of it. But Todo swapped and added the boy Yuji into the mix and rocks Mahito with a Black Flash. This is peak jumping, peak hands being thrown. Like, this choreography and the flow of the fight is top tier of the medium. I'm sure in the anime, the animators, through the struggle, are still gonna produce an amazing fight scene. And Todo's Boogie Woogie makes any fight look fun on panel. Gege, please bring him back just one more time. I need something. Props to Mahito because he was reading their souls and adapting to Boogie Woogie in both of their fighting styles. And Todo hit that Black Flash kick to join his bro Yuji. And we got that iconic panel of Yuji, Todo, and Mahito having brought out 120% of their potential, with all three of them obtaining Black Flash. They're still swapping and doing some combos on Mahito while Mahito is out here removing his own head. All three of them are in their bags. Mahito tries separating Todo from Yuji because them together, they just a little bit too much. Todo fought the polymorphic transfigured humans and took care of business. Those are pretty much fodder. And one of the few times we see Todo in 1v1 action. And I like the touch of him like kissing the necklace and saying, "Forgive me, you poor souls." Just like Yuji and Nanami, he knows that these are regular people at the end of the day. While Yuji and Mahito fought for literally a couple of seconds, Todo is back. But Mahito just looked at him like, "Yo, would you get the fuck on somewhere?"
Why? Whoa, you! Cause we them niggas!
But Mahito pulled out the ultimate goal. He can't touch Yuji because it's Sukuna, but he also needs to deal damage to Todo and get rid of him. Only thing left to do is domain expansion. He saw Gojo do this 0.2 second domain literally like an hour ago. Mahito's just like, fuck it, we gonna see what happens. Mahito is having an out-of-body experience. In sports, if you don't know what that means, just know that the person experiencing this is unstoppable. All you can do is pray at this point. This nigga Mahito was cooking so much, he stared down Sukuna, talked shit, told him to just shut up and watch as he kills his vessel Yuji. And Todo was next up as he was still touched by out of transfiguration, unfortunately. Even with the simple domain, he got rocked by Mahito's Black Flash. Todo was still on some real shit though. He boogie woogie with Mahito's own hand and swat with Yuji, who Black Flash Mahito. Big gamble that somewhat paid off for Todo, but as Yuji and Mahito continue fighting, Mahito unveiled one more trump card. The instant spirit body of distorted killing.
Oh, hell no!
And they go back to boxing, but this time Mahito is way stronger physically, plus he's got the tail now, and is way different than before. This form is pretty cold to me because of how much of a monster Mahito looks, and it's almost like he's wearing a mask. I remember this form having to grow on me a little bit because I just liked the way Mahito looked originally, but this one, I mean, he does look a lot more sinister, and the buffs that he gets are pretty crazy. When Mahito facepalmed Yuji and slammed him into the ground, creating a mini crater, I knew Yuji's gonna have some trouble because that's one of the few times Yuji has ever been physically manhandled like that. Plus, this double spread looks phenomenal and badass. See, this is the type of stuff I look at and I'm like, bro, why wasn't I blessed with the talent to draw? In the final stages, Itadori just smashes his leg repeatedly, and in another hard ass panel says him and Mahito both have something left in the tank. They close in with the big haymakers they are about to deliver, and Mahito has a plan set to counter the weak spot Yuji's going to hit. Yuji and Mahito, they go to trade punches. Yuji connects, but Mahito wasn't ready for that second delayed impact because now Yuji has controlled Divergent Fist. Shout out to Todo for not only dropping another bar of an arm is merely a decoration, the act of applause is an acclamation, but giving Yuji one last assist with a fake out boogie woogie, RP to a real one in terms of Todo technique and I guess his career now. And of course, this is also a homage, a shout out to Hunter x Hunter with Netero's speech against Meryl. Yuji caught back and delivered the hardest hitting Black Flash punch in the series. And Mahito is now out of his instant spirit form, out of humans to transfigure and beaten to the weakest he's ever been. And we get the iconic "I am you" quote from Yuji, stooping down to Mahito's level, claiming he is the same as Mahito and that Mahito was right. No matter the circumstances, as long as he lives as a cursed spirit, he will kill him. This is the beginning of the call mentality Yuji develops for himself, as he's basically calling himself the Grim Reaper, the cursed spirits, and that he will keep killing them for as long as he lives. Not exercise, but kill. One of the most chilling moments in the series, a rare moment in the manga where a MC, in terms of themes, loses to the antagonist and proves their point. And we get this beautiful panel of the wolf chasing the wounded rabbit in the snow, as Yuji is now officially the hunter in JJK. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the kill because Kenjaku had to step in to capture Mahito like a Pokemon, and then a bunch of shit happened after and reveals that happened, and basically everything in the series is changed, and we're heading into, in my opinion, I'm gonna say arguably the best arc in the series. For me, I put this as my favorite fight in the series. Spoiler warning for, I guess, the upcoming fight if you don't know what happened. Gojo versus Sukuna, I have that as my like a 1B for now, because these two are just, it's just back and forth for me. This fight had everything from high battle IQ, emotions, storytelling, the dynamic of Yuji and Mahito that have been built up basically from the start of the series, and especially when they first met. Every time these two link up, it's just unbelievable, like how well that Gege portrays the hatred and also the themes of being a curse and a sorcerer with these two. Not to mention the body and the soul has been a representation through this fight as well, through them fighting and of course their characters. Nobara being a part of it was amazing from the time that she had. Todo took this fight and elevated it to like a S+ with his integration and just the culmination of him and Yuji's relationship. Peak. And this fight, similar to Gojo versus Sukuna and all the other amazing fights in JJK, this fight has so much weight behind it. During the fight and after it, this fight still affects Yuji. It's still referenced to this day. It's one of those fights to where it's perfect. I don't really have a problem with it, and it just left me speechless by the time it finished. But that's a wrap for my Shibuya anime recap, or whatever the hell I'm gonna call this episodes. But that's all for the anime content. Like I say, for season 3, depending on how things go, because season 3, if you're an anime only and you seen this, just let you know now, you in for one of the craziest rides you thought you experienced in JJK, because things are about to get taken up to a whole nother level.
How I got my